Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel. Welcome to Look Back. This is where I take a look at reviews I did a year, 5 years, and 10 years ago this week and tell you what I think about them now. So we'll start a year ago with Stack Attack. Stack Attack, what a bad game. You basically were stacking dice, but you could only stack a die if it was one higher or lower than the previous die, and you were rolling dice to do this. So there was luck, and you were literally stacking a pile of dice. That's the whole game. Then we have Suspicion. Suspicion is a game, it's a deduction style game in which you're going through a house trying to figure out who's the person. It's okay, it's just that it's so obviously you crossed off different people and people are all going to figure out the thing at the same time. I like the idea, it looks great, but just doesn't come across. Robo Race. This is not a very fun game in which robots are running around a race course. There's just way too much luck in this game and it's just not interesting enough. Candy Time. This one looks great. Place tiles, make matches, get points. Great. Too random. Not so great. Then we got A Dog's Life. A Dog's Life is a game in which you're a dog running around the city, marking your territory, delivering newspapers, finding bones. It's very thematic. I do like that part. This is actually a reprint that we looked at of the original game. It's just too much. It's just too much luck in it, really. There's no real deep strategy to the game, and you might say, well, there doesn't need to be deep strategy. Yeah, but the game might be too complex then for people who are looking for a really light game. The Eyes. I like this one. I like the different tiles, how it looks, but the game itself is just another memory match style game, not that diverse from the other ones that already exist. So let's move to some games that I like more now. Bubbly Pop. This was essentially your bubbles coming down. Think of it as an app of sorts. Like getting 3 of the same together and popping them and then getting points in various ways. Works really well with 2 players. Sultan of the Wind, which does not look fantastic, but it's okay. You're flying your little magic carpet around, getting the wind to blow you to go to different places. It's essentially a race game trying to outdo other people. Then we have Yes. Yes is a game that's pretty much a simplified version of Codenames, or a simplified version of picture Codenames, but there's 2 different things on the table and you are trying to get people to guess those specific ones. But the other person is trying to give you a pair that they think you won't get people to guess. So it's kind of an intriguing back and forth. It's much lighter. We've done a live play of this one if you'd like to see it. That's Yes. Star Wars Destiny. This one has dropped for me. I really don't have any desire to play it. I don't think it's a bad game. If I played it, I'd be like, okay. The collectability, especially the very expensive collectability of the game, is one thing that turns me off, I think. But other than that, I don't know. I don't want to play the metagame. I don't want to get involved in this. It seems like it's a rabbit hole I don't want to come into. But the game itself doesn't grab me as much as I thought either. You essentially have a couple characters. And when I compare it to another collectible dice game, Dice Masters, I just love Dice Masters so much more. Then we have 13 Days Cuban Missile Crisis. Jason and I took a look at this one. And this one is like a really, really short version of Twilight Struggle. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's as good as Twilight Struggle, it's not. But it's still a really good game as you play some brinkmanship as you get close to blowing up the world, but not quite, and you have to pull back because that will make you lose. Little game with some tough decisions. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Dice Masters Heroes in a Half Shell. This is a boxed set of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I really like the concept of not having to collect all the dice. You just get them. And I also like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And unlike Yu-Gi-Oh! And Dungeons and Dragons, I thought these guys fit into the superhero universe more easily. Vikings Gone Wild. This is a deck building game that I've really been enjoying as you're playing different cards. And you are building up your Viking area and fighting off various enemies, getting super awesome cards that only you have. Everyone has a chance to get these cards. You can attack other players. Doesn't really hurt them, but scores you points. But if they defend against it successfully, they get points instead of you. Some really cool concepts. And then a game that's consistently going up for me, and that's Santorini. Santorini is a game that just... wow, this game is an amazing 2-player, well, you can play more than 2 players, but I like it best with 2. Abstract strategy, where every game, each person has a different power, and so it's going to change the way the game plays. In fact, It reminds me a lot of Onitama, an abstract game I like a lot. Just a few simple rule changes, but every game feels different and fresh and interesting because of that. Highly recommend it. Let's go 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I played Plex. I remember Plex from Board Game Geek Con, where the guy showed up dressed up in robes, and I was like, ooh, the mysterious game. Not really. You're just moving on triangles around on a board. Did not really enjoy it at all. Then there was Wrong Chemistry. Wrong Chemistry, yes, they're teaching you science to some degree, but you're basically just matching patterns. There's a lot of matching pattern games out there, and this one is okay at best. Mercate. Mercate is one of my least favorite from the series. I forget the name of this, the universe now AEG did, which had Dominaire and Love Letter in it. And this one was your run-of-the-mill trading in a Mediterranean style game, trading goods back and forth. It's decent. 2019, the Arctic. This is a game, fairly complex game, moving pieces around. It's in the future, trying to claim different areas in Arctic. I thought it was okay 5 years ago. Now I think it's just a little overwrought. Reminds me of Imperial, which is a game I don't like. But I do like Panic on Wall Street. Still enjoying this one. This one goes to 11 players. In this game, you are only playing against half the other people in the game. Half the people are bankers. Half of them are selling land. And there's two winners, one person from each group. You're working back and forth, trying to sell stuff and invest in different things, hoping they do well. A lot of fun. Panic on Wall Street. 10 years ago, I took a look at Sherpa, which is about climbing mountains. Extremely forgettable. I had to go read my review. Still don't remember the game at all, but I looked at the artwork and it's awful. No. Then we have Superpowers, which is a game that I kind of gave a pass to because I was like, hey, at least it's about superpowers. At least it's not about, trading in the Mediterranean. Well, now we have tons of games of superheroes, and this one doesn't stand to muster, especially with the bad components. Amazing Space Venture, which is Carcassonne in space to some degree. And again, I liked Carcassonne a lot. So when I played this, I was like, well, it's like Carcassonne and stuff. Now I just don't, I see it kind of as more of a knockoff. I don't think it's as good in retrospect. Step to it. This is a great game for kids in which you played a card and you had to take a certain number of steps to a spot. Sure, you could game the system, but for kids, it was just so much fun trying to figure out how to take a certain number of steps to get somewhere. Jamaica. Now, you'll notice I dropped this one slightly. Sam and Z, this is one of their favorite games. I like it. It's fun. It's entertaining race around the board. But it is very samey, game after game after game. When I play a game at Jamaica, I'm like, okay, I'm good for a while. It's really entertaining. Great components. It's just that I've cooled on it slightly. I've also cooled even more slightly than slightly, I guess, on the Memoir 44 Air Pack. Really thought this was the bee's knees when it came out. And I do like having airplanes in Memoir 44. And so I still would use this occasionally. Just, I found every time I play Memoir, we're like, do you want to use the air pack? No. Because it just adds a little bit more to the game than's needed. It's very, very expensive. Hopefully they'll come out with a reprint of it in the future and maybe make it just a little bit more streamlined. Love the concept of it, and it does work. It's just a little bit more work to the whole game, and as time goes by, I'm wanting my Memoir to be more simple every time I play it. Anyway, that's what I think about games from 1, 5, and 10 years ago. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and this has been Look Back on the Dice Tower.